Hello, everyone. It's Melissa from Gilda's Club, Grand Rapids. I'm so glad that we could come together today on Facebook Live. I hope that this post finds you well and dry. All this rain we've been having, it's kind of cool, summer rain, but I hope that, well, I suppose you won't be watching us if you don't have electricity, but I hope if you did lose electricity, it wasn't for long. And if you're watching us for the first time and you don't know what Gilda's Club is, we are a free cancer and grief support community. If you're on a cancer journey or on a grief journey from any kind of death, and you would like more information about our free support program, we would love to talk with you and get you connected. You can give us a call at 453-8300 or look us up at gildasclubgr.org, or since you're probably on Facebook watching us, you could just leave us a message on Facebook and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Which reminds me, if you are watching, we love to know that you're watching. So please like this post or make a comment. If you have a question for us about any of the content that we had today, or for our guest, you might have a question for her. Let us know. So you can post it right here and we'll make sure that we feed her that question, or we'll get back to you afterward. So today I am doing, well, we started a couple weeks ago, this awesome part of our program of interviewing staff at Gilda's Club. Like, who is the staff at Gilda's Club and what do they do and what are they about? And I have the pleasure today of introducing you all to Claire Portinga. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, everyone.
It's so good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me on this. It's exciting.
Yeah, well, and I have something to tell you all. Some of you probably already know this, but Claire has been 20 years on our contract staff. You were the third person that was hired at Gilda's Club. Is that right? As a social worker?
Yes. Yeah.
And you were we didn't even have our facilities then, did we?
Yeah, the house was almost finished being built. Like the floors were being refinished and the walls were being painted. Noogie Land, all those. I watched the guy paint the knots of wood in the ceiling at Noogie Land.
Oh my goodness. And then there you were amongst all of this facilitating groups at that time.
Yeah.
That's
anything
great.
And everything.
And the grounds, there was really no gardens, right? It was just a lot of dirt.
Yes. And you're taking me back. I forgot about some of that. We still had, of course, we had the wonderful pine tree grove.
Yeah.
In the back, but we didn't have as much of a parking lot as we do now.
Oh, wow.
We had less than half of the parking lot that we do now. Yeah, but the flowers, the fountain, all of that are wonderful things that have come over time.
Oh, how cool. It's so neat that you have this longevity, because we have a whole new era for Gilda's Club and for Claire happening right now, is that she has come on as our new clinical program director. And so we're so excited about that. Claire, you want to tell us a little bit about what that means?
Sure. And I am so excited. This has been a great opportunity, and it came in a great time in my life when I was looking to work more hours as a social worker. So I've really, for the past probably 19 years, just worked contract. I started out full time and then was able to be at home and raise my family while I worked one night a week at Gilda's Club facilitating groups. So now that my kids are older, I'm happy to start doing more social work and getting to know so many more faces and people, hopefully also as our clubhouse continues to open. So as the program director, I will be working in the program with members and facilitating a group, and still be involved at that level, but also hopefully helping to look ahead for new opportunities of program, what we might want to try, how we might want to expand or grow, or find new opportunities to meet the needs in our community.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I want to add in there, support the program staff.
Yes.
Which you do so beautifully already.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's so great. And we're so excited. such a beautiful and easy transition for us, even though there still is things to learn and all of that, but that we know you, you know our program. And then we get this great opportunity to get to know each other even more at a deeper level. And I'm speaking, I think, for our members and for the staff. And so we're just really excited to have you.
Thank you. And it is a two-way street, because right now the program staff are supporting me so much in learning all the new details and things in this role.
That's great. Well, you know, we are both and community and team, and we really mean that team. And
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's great. So tell us a little bit just about yourself, maybe things you'd like to share with our members and the public.
Sure. I really like to travel with my family and do a lot of hiking vacations. We just got back from California and some hikes in the mountains there at 8,000 feet altitude and above. I thought I'd come back and breathe this thick Michigan air, but I forgot about the humidity. So it doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. So I love to run. I'm a runner. I've run 5 marathons, and I'm training for the New York City Marathon this fall. Yeah. And I love ice cream. I love to eat healthy, but also then have dessert. So I love ice cream. And I love to sing alone in my car. If I'm driving by myself, I will be belting it out. So those are just a few things.
So if we pull up next to you and you're just in there,
just try to find
in your bubble.
Yes, just try to find the station I'm on and join in.
I love it. What's your favorite station to sing to?
Boy, can we plug stations?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe
know.
I should say what type of music. I don't.
I like maybe what's called indie or alternative rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, I can't wait to see you out there driving around or running around. I'm assuming you must sing while you're running too.
I have to, if I have to.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm just so glad for this opportunity to get together. I'm so glad for our members to see you and to have you on staff with us. And,
thanks, Melissa.
Yeah. So we have, Claire and I have a program for you today, and our topic is about being brave and getting outside your bubble, which is exactly really what Claire just described. Is she went from being a staff person, contract staff person, to being a director. That's a big jump, and that takes a lot of courage. And we have a wonderful book for you called The Monster in the Bubble. And it's by Andi Green. And then we have a craft and a little bit of a discussion for you. And we're going to be a little bit brave and try something new. You'll see later. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll try again. But, you know, you never know until you try. And so I'm going to be quiet and go off screen and let Claire read this great book. We'll see you in a minute, Claire.
Okay. So this book is called The Monster in the Bubble. There's our little monster, and it's written by Andi Green. Squeak, the monster of innocence. The monster in the bubble. Sweet little Squeak never tried to step away from the warm, cozy bubble where he always did stay. Safe from the world and things strange or new, he'd make up grand stories of what he would do. If he got up the courage to go out and see the places all around him and all he could be. He'd tell of the creatures and friends he would meet, and the mountains he'd scale to their dusty white peaks. Of soaring through clouds in a hot air balloon, ending up in a rocket that would fly to the moon. He imagined himself so brave and so bold that great tales about him one day would be told. But at the end of each story, Squeak would look down and sigh, someday I'll go, Someday I'll try. Because leaving his bubble just scared Squeak to tears. And he'd say to himself, well, it's better in here. The bubble listened closely and started to see it needed to help little Squeak become free. So at bedtime one night, when Squeak turned out the lights, the bubble floated softly away out of sight. Yet it didn't go far, just quietly peeked in through the window where it watched over Squeak. Early the next morning, Squeak woke up at dawn. He looked all around, but his bubble was gone. Then suddenly he saw it at the foot of his bed, a note from his bubble. And here's what it said. Dear little Squeak, it is time that you grow. In order to do this, you have to let go of what holds you back from starting each day. So think of me fondly as you go on your way. But if you should happen to need me again, I'll always be there, your bubble, your friend. XOXOXO, the bubble. Bubble, my bubble, Squeak said with a cry. What will I do without you by my side? And a voice gently whispered, tickling his ear, be strong, little one, I'll always be near. Squeak wanted so badly for his life to remain inside the bubble where things never change. But Bubble was right. Squeak knew in his heart. It was time to have fun. It was time that he start. So he took a deep breath and went on his way. And he laughed and he learned. And he worked and he played, growing happier each day with all he had done. Thankful for the push from his special someone. For if in his bubble Squeak had always stayed, he wouldn't be the Squeak that he is today. The end.
What a great book.
I love that story.
That story has so many implications to this time in our lives. Have you ever been in a bubble? Have you ever had a bubble?
Yeah, I can think of a few times. And I think you're right that me moving into the new job, anybody moving into a new job is definitely taking a step out of the comfort bubble. But when I was in college, I went on foreign study and I lived in a country called Swaziland for a year. And I went with 5 other American students, but we were the only Americans or people from another country on the campus. And so they were my bubble. Everything was so new and so different, the language and the food and the weather and the culture, that I started out by really hanging out with my 4 American friends all the time. That was my bubble. And I just really needed that safety in this new place where everything else was so unfamiliar. And it really took months before I started to step out and make friends. And I joined the choir by myself and learned songs that I didn't know what any of the words meant, but I just sang the words and went on trips. And my bubble was always there in the corner, just like Squeak's. My friends were still there and we could still hang out at the end of the day or on the weekend, but I didn't need them all the time. And if I had stayed with them all the time, I would have missed so many just fun opportunities and rich moments.
Yeah. So really, I'm really just thinking about how even though you still had some fear while you were in your bubble, and there was a lot of comfort in your bubble and fear about leaving your bubble, that you left it anyway, or it helped you. I think the bubble really can be a part of who we are, a little safe place inside of us. And so it's a part of us that sort of just pushes us, gives us that little nudge like the bubble did for Squeak.
Yes.
And that it doesn't mean you don't have fear, doesn't mean you're not scared when you're doing it, but being brave means doing it anyway, knowing that if I really want to get the most out of this experience, if I really want to learn everything I can learn while I'm here in this new country, that I need to step outside of this group of people and immerse myself. And that's awesome, Claire. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just appreciate that point, that you really can carry a bubble inside yourself for yourself.
Yeah.
You know who you are, and you know what you can fall back on.
Yes. And I think about that, especially now, especially with kids starting to go back to school, and how we really have been in a bubble. We've been in a COVID bubble, and sometimes that bubble included our family, maybe not. Maybe it was just whoever's in our household, and maybe it included our family, maybe included a few other friends, but now it's starting to get a little bigger, and that it feels a little scary to go outside of our bubble. And sometimes we have to take precautions, and we have to make sure that we take things with us to help us feel safe and grounded. And that might include taking your bubble with you inside of you. And it might include taking other things. We're going to do a little craft. That was a little just PSA for our craft, but you might take things with you to remind yourself that it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to be brave. And that we learn things from even just trying. And sometimes they don't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes we have to try again, and that's okay too. And then I was thinking, and I know, Claire, you and I both have had experiences like this in being on staff at Gilda's Club and probably in our own personal life, but that sometimes when we're on a cancer or grief journey, that we need to go back inside of our bubble for some self-care. That there might be a time where I just can't talk to a lot of people, or just can process one or two pieces of information. Otherwise, I need to sit on the couch or take some time to journal, or just be inside the house and not do as much activity as I'm used to. And so a bubble can also be good for you. What do you think about that, Miss Claire?
I think that's so true. I think that a bubble can be a good, safe, protective space. And I think in your gut or your heart, you will know if you've spent too much time in your bubble. You will start to feel a little bit stale, a little bit bored, or ready for new challenges.
Yeah. And really any coping mechanism, anything, any coping skill, anything that's helpful can also be used in the extreme. And so we have to watch out for not using it enough or using it too much, staying in our bubble all the time or never going to our bubble. And we want to be somewhere in the middle. And we are a culture of extreme sometimes. And so we have to give ourselves permission to be in that middle place and to allow ourselves to do self-care, and not in self-indulgence, but self-care, and to get outside our bubble and to learn. So yeah, that's great. Well, this is where we're going to get brave here, you guys, is that, so we got a new camera holder, and we wanted to try it, and we recorded our craft for today. And so we want to run that video and see how that works. and it may or it may not work. And we'll see. If it doesn't work, then I'll explain the craft. But thank you for giving us this opportunity to be brave and try this new thing. And Hannah is going to bring that up here. Okay, and here we go.
Hello, everyone. We're going to continue our conversation about being brave. And we're going to talk about a craft you can do to help yourself remember that you are a brave person and you have done hard things. So first of all, remember to ask, if you're doing this alone, to ask the adult in your house for help. Gathering the supplies needed, or for permission to use some of the supplies, or supervision if they feel like maybe you need some supervision in doing those things. So what I got together was a piece of paper. I happened to have some paint, so I gathered some paint and everything that comes with paint, a paint palette, which I just used a piece of plastic, and water. Obviously, I've already used that water. And paint brushes, and some what's that called? Paper towel. That's the word. I also got together a marker, a pencil, scissors, and then a stamp because I had it at home. You might not have that, and a rock, and then some old cards, or not so old cards, that I'll tell you about in a minute. So that's these. So what we're going to make are little medallions, or little reminders to ourselves that we are brave. So this one's a paper one, and I'll show you how I made that. This one's a rock one, and it's kind of obvious how I made that, but I'll tell you about that one. And then this one's one from a birthday card that I received, I believe, from my sister. And I loved that little doodad that was on it, and it was 2-ply. And so what I did is I wrote myself a little note. You are brave. And then I put a little extra piece of ribbon I had around the house, and I'll attach that to something. I often need more than one reminder that of the things that I can do. Like, I'm brave, I can stay calm, breathe, you are loved. So I need those reminders about that, and sometimes I'll put them in my pocket, I'll put them in my car, I'll put them in my purse, I'll put them on my desk, put them in my backpack, just so I know that whenever during the day, if I need to remind myself something about being brave, being loved, being connected, choop, there it is. It usually always shows up when I need to. So this card one, I realized that I had a lot of cards that I had been given for my birthday and for other things. And recently, I've been given quite a few cards, and I really didn't want to throw them away. I didn't know what to do with them. So what I've done in the past is I've made some tags that I put on gifts, but I thought this is a perfect way to use these also for this craft, is that this was right here on this card, and I really thought this card was beautiful. I thought, how can I use this? And there's so many different parts of this card I could use, but I decided to cut that thinking of you part out, and I just used my scissors and I cut it and made it a shape that was pleasing to me, and you can do that however you want. And then I decided, what shall I do with this? Now I could do a couple of things with this one, is that I could write somebody's name on there, thinking of you, say Mary, Kelly, Joni, something like that. And then there's a little message on the back, breathe, and remind them to breathe. Or I could be for myself, thinking of you, Melissa, breathe. And so I have that one, and I could even make a hole in it, cut a hole, stamp a hole, and then put it on a piece of string or yarn like I did this one. This one I painted on a piece of paper, and all I did was take a white piece of paper, grab that paint that I had, and I just played around. I tried not to be too perfect about it, and I just wanted to see these cool new paintbrushes I had and how they looked. And so I tried some flowers and different things. And then I let it dry. And then I cut this one out by hand. As you can see, it's a little misshapen, but that's okay because that's kind of how life is sometimes. It's not always just perfectly round or perfectly square. And then I cut a little hole in it and I wrote the word brave. So I can string that somewhere, I can put it in my pocket, I could do all those things with it. And then also the way that the paint goes on it, that sometimes fear seems like it just comes at you like that, sort of like rain falling really hard. And sometimes it gets all mixed up with feelings of dark and light. And so that reminds me that that's okay to have that happen and that I can be brave even in the midst of that fear. Then I used, just this little stamp because I had it, and I just cut out another one. And then I could write on the back of here, love, you are loved, or I can write stay strong, or whatever I want to write, or I can give them to friends or just put them around. So that's another way that you can do it. And then the third way is that I just have this rock, and I love rocks. I have lots and lots of rocks from everywhere I go. And so I found this rock, and I'd been using this rock for something and kind of got a little dirty, but I cleaned it up as much as I could. And then I wrote a B on it. What do you think that B's for? Yep, it's for brave. It's to remind me that I can be brave. It also is very soothing when I just rub it. So I can have this in my pocket, and nobody would even know, set it on my desk. I love that this rock is also shaped like a bee, so it kind of helped me with all of that. So I have all of these ways to remind myself of how brave I am. I bet you could probably come up with a ton of ways to remind yourself that you're brave, that these are only a few of those. If you want to share them with us, we would love to hear that. But that's all. I hope you enjoyed this craft.
Well, it looks like that worked. I'm so glad. So if you end up doing this craft, if you find something at home that works better for you or different, we would love to see it. Take a picture of it, send us a little note about it. We would love to know how your creativity helps you to remind yourself that you're brave, that you've done hard things, that you can get through tough things, that you can get outside your bubble and learn. And maybe you want to tell us a story about how you did that and you learned. And maybe this school year is going to be about that for you, getting outside that bubble and seeing what we can do while still staying safe. We certainly are trying that, aren't we, Claire, at Gilda's Club? So, yeah, thanks for everyone for being with us today. Thank you, Claire, for reading that great book and telling us about yourself. And congratulations again. Yeah. So, our bubble is getting bigger, or we're stepping outside of that. Our virtual program is still running 100%, and we are accepting new members all the time. But we are stepping outside that bubble, and we're trying in-person groups just once in a while. You can look at our calendar on our website, gildasclubgr.org, and you'll see that the groups that are in person will say in red, in person. And if you have questions about that, or it's hard to read, or you're not really quite sure you understand, you can always give us a call, 453-8300. And all of those in-person groups are with protocol in place. We do ask people to fill out a health form and take a temperature, and if they're either to stay distant from people or to wear a mask. And they're all happening on the grounds outside, unless it's weather like today, where we're not really sure what's going to happen out there. Then we go back to virtual. So we're not holding any groups inside the building. All of these groups are being held on the grounds outside under tents. So if you have questions, we love to talk to you. You know that we call you guys all the time. So give us a call and ask us. And we'd love to tell you about that. And we also, next week, we're going to talk about West Side Walk. Yep, it's that time of year again. I can't believe it's the middle of August already.
I know.
Go. And so West Side Walk is this year, September 18th. And it is our community fundraiser where we do a mile walk, or you don't do a mile walk, you just come for the fun. And it helps support Gilda's Club right here in West Michigan. All the monies that are raised stay right here with our clubhouse here and in Lowell, and all of our outreach programs that we have all over our county. And it's a lot of fun. So one of my biggest funds and I'm not really sure how that's going to work this year, but is we had some horses there a couple of years ago, the police horses. They were so beautiful and so much fun. And we had the 504 there. And if you don't know who they are, but it was Chewbacca and Darth Vader and Han Solo.
Wow. And horses.
I know, it was quite the day.
We have it all.
And a band. And so don't miss the fun. If you want more information on that, you can see it on our website, or you can, again, give us a call. We'd love to talk with you about it and help you get connected and signed up for that. I think that's everything I have. Do you have anything else, Claire?
No, but thank you, Melissa. This has been great.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could come on here with me. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been good to have you. All right, everyone, stay safe, stay dry. I hope you still have electricity, and hope to see you around soon. Be well. Bye-bye.